Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here, returning to you officially for the best and worst songs of May 2024 video. So hopefully you will enjoy this lengthy video because we got a lot to talk about with all the singles that have come out in May. So there's a total of 31 best songs and 2 of the worst tracks that I've listened to this month. So let's dive into number 31, which is Viola and Chrissy Costanzo, Caught It. I didn't review this track yet. I probably won't. I don't know if I will or not, but still, pretty good song in its own way. I mean, mixing wise, it has its issues, but overall, it's pretty good for how it sounds. So, that was my number 31 pick, so it's fine. Number 30 is Baby Metal and Electric Callboy, Ratata Ta or Ratatata or something like that. I'm trying to pronounce it right. Electric Callboy sounded a little cringy with the falsetto vocals for a certain moment in the track, but overall, the track was pretty good for how it sounds. So, I think even Sui Metal's vocals sounded pretty alright for this track, and it's pretty good for what it is. So, number 30 is Baby Metal and Electric Callboy Ratatata track. Number 29 is going to be Invent Animates How We Used to Say Goodbye. Pretty good song in its own way. I mean, some of the scream vocals and shouting, clean vocals in a way. I don't know if I liked it or not, but it was fine for this track it was going for. So this is a pretty good song in its own way. So number 29 is Invent Anime How We Used to Say Goodbye, and I will be reviewing the Heavener Definitive album for that deluxe edition review. So the next one is number 28, which is Victoria Justice Hate the World Without You, Maddie's song. Pretty good song. I really like the message behind it. One of my favorite tracks of this month. And I think she did a good song talking about her stepsister in this track. So, really interesting track for what it goes for. Very nice message to the track with how it sounds. So, number 28 is Victoria Justice with Hate the World Without You, Maddie's song. Number 27 is Yours Truly, Sour. I wasn't sure if I was a fan of this one, but it still was pretty good for what it sounded like. Just overall, there were some critiques with this track I had, with Michaela's vocals sounding alright in this song, and just how it's mixed and produced with the melody and all that. It's still a good track. So, at least it made it on my best songs section of this video. So, number 26 is Lolo with Kill the Girl. This was a pretty good song. Really dig this track for how it sounded. So, I'd give her props with this one. She did sound pretty good, but she is making too many singles for this new record. Falling for Robots and Wishing I Was One, I think, is the new album. Coming out June 7th, which is next Friday. So, pretty soon. Like in a week's time from now. But overall, pretty good track. Number 25 is The Devil Wears Prada with Reasons featuring Lolo again. She's in this track and she sounds alright for this song. I wouldn't say this was one of my favorite tracks of this month, but it still was a pretty strong track for how it sounded. So I'd give this a strong 4.75 out of 5, what I originally rated it, basically. So it's pretty good in its own way. Definitely worth checking out. Number 24 is Beyond Unbroken with Monster. This track is pretty good mixing wise, but there's some critiques I have with how it's done with this track with the melody. I don't know, it's somewhat overproduced. Sorry for my yawning. It's somewhat overproduced in a way, but it still sounds alright and slightly fresh for what it's going for. So I'd give this a 4.75 out of 5, and at my number 24 spot is Beyond Unbroken with Monster. Number 23 is Dead by April with Wasteland, featuring The Day We Left Earth. Pretty good song. It's grown on me a little more as time's gone by. I wasn't sure if I was really going to like this track, but it sounds nice for the instrumental and acoustic side to it, I guess, is what it's going for. Sorry about the background noise, that's my nephew. But overall, pretty good track for what it goes for. So, number 23 is Dead by April with Wasteland, featuring The Day We Left Earth. Number 22 is The Used with Meds. I was surprised to put this on my list, but it's still a pretty strong track for what it goes for. With how Bert's clean vocals sound in this track. I mean, lyrically, it's hit or miss, but it still sounds really good for what they're doing with this track. So, 4.75 out of 5, and number 22 was The Used with Meds. Number 21 is Crossfaith with Lamb, featuring Bobby Wolfgang. I know this is a song from like March or something like that, but I only added it to this list because that's something I recently heard. So, basically, it's pretty good in its own way. It just has some mixing moments where I don't know if I like it or not, but it's still pretty strong for what it goes for. So, number 21 is Crossfaith with Lamb, featuring Bobby Wolfgang. Number 20 is Dance Gavin Dance with Speed Demon. Great track. I really enjoyed this track. I mean, not as much as the next song that I'll be mentioning from Dance Gavin Dance in just a few minutes, but overall, it's still a pretty strong track for what it goes for. So number 20 is Dance Gavin Dance with Speed Demon. I was trying to cramp most of this, all the 31 tracks that I've listened to this month, and put it all in one full list to see how I'd feel about the tracks, but still pretty strong. Even Andrew's vocals sound pretty good with this track. Andrew Wells sounds pretty good in the Speed Demon and Straight from the Heart, but Straight from the Heart is a track I will be mentioning in a moment. So 20 is Dance Gavin Dance with Speed Demon. Number 19 is Serj Tankian, the lead singer from System of a Down, for Another Fucking Day. So, pretty relatable track with how people feel in regards to starting a new day, like another fucking day. Or something that they're stressed out about. But basically, overall, it's a pretty good song. I really enjoyed this track, so I'd give it a strong 5 out of 5. Definitely worth checking out to see what you think of it for yourself. Number 18 is Black Veil Brides with My Friends. Pretty strong track for what it goes for, and I really dig this song. So I'd recommend checking this one out. It's not one of my particular favorites, but it's in the top 20. And the reason why is because it has a reference towards the Sweeney Todd. I think their new EP is going to be all about the Sweeney Todd and the Legend of the Demon Barber or something like that. Demon Barber on some kind of street. But basically, overall, I think Andy's vocals sounded pretty good. The one thing I was cringing at was, "At last my right arm is complete." That part was a little weird and a little odd. Kind of oddball to listen through, but still pretty good of a track, so yeah. Number 17 is going to be Dance Gavin Dance with Straight from the Heart. Pretty strong track. I really enjoyed this one. Told you I was going to mention it in a few minutes. So it's pretty good. Andrew's vocals still sound really good in this track, and I really dig it. It almost sounds, it's not going to sound as like Tilly and Pearson, but it's still pretty strong for what they go for. And at least they don't have Tilly and Pearson in the band anymore because of the allegations that were being brought up about him. That I kind of believe now. Unfortunately, I didn't want to, but things happen, and people fuck up and make mistakes, but this is not necessarily a mistake. This was something that he did, that he knew was wrong, and he went along with it anyway. So basically, number 17 is Dance Gavin Dance with Straight from the Heart. Number 16 is going to be Dark Tranquillity with Unforgivable. Pretty strong track. Really recommend checking this one out. I think the vocals from the lead singer sound really good. I have to look up his name again to make sure if I'm going to be saying it right. But overall, pretty badass track, and I really dug this track. So number 16 is Dark Tranquillity with Unforgivable. Really enjoyed this song. I know it's a song that came out a month or so ago, but I only added it to this list because I just listened to it in the middle of this month. So number 15 is Attack Attack with Concrete. Really enjoyed this track, and thank you guys so much for commenting on my track review of yours. I really appreciate it, and definitely if you just pointing this out there, if you are down for an interview on my channel, just let me know, and I'll try to set something up and get someone to help me with that. Just let me know, because I'm going to try something new for my channel as well, along with other things I'm doing for the channel. But overall, Attack Attack Concrete, their song was great. I really enjoyed Chris's vocals in this track, and overall it sounded really good. So yeah. Number 14 is All That Remains with Divine. Pretty strong track. I think this was one of my favorite tracks of this month. I think vocally, screaming wise, it sounds really good from the lead singer, and overall this track was a banger. This is the first single in like 6 years, almost 6 years since their last record back in 2018. But overall, pretty strong track for how it sounds. So can't wait to see what album they decide to come out with and how it's going to sound when it comes out. So basically, number 14, All That Remains with Divine. Number 13 is Eminem with Houdini. Pretty strong track. It's a lot of rapping and references to the Without Me music video and him trying to be a superhero again, in a way. So it's going to be on his new record, The Death of Slim Shady, in a way. So we'll find out how that sounds if it comes out this summer. But we gotta wait and see what he decides for that, basically. So a strong 5 out of 5 for that track, and pretty good song. Number 12 is Buried Tomorrow with Villanark. This is a pretty new song. I didn't listen to all of it, but I listened to most of it, and it sounds pretty good from what I'm listening to. So I really dig this track. So like I said, I still got to finish the track. So I only heard a snippet of it, maybe like 30-40 seconds of it, and it sounds pretty good from the screaming guy's vocals. So really dig this band. I've been following them for a while, and since 2020, since Cannibal, and then I heard the Seventh Son album last year, which was one of my favorite records last year. But still, Buried Tomorrow kicks ass, for sure. And they packed a punch with this track. Number 11 is Nothing More with Angel's Song, featuring David Dryman. I think this track was pretty good. It wasn't in the top 10 favorite, but it was still pretty strong and worthy to be number 11. I think Johnny's vocals sound pretty good. A little weird at times, but pretty good. And this track did work. It's not as good as the last few singles, but it still made it at a certain spot on this list. So at number 11 was Nothing More with Angel's Song, featuring David Dryman. Number 10 is Post Malone with I Had Some Help, featuring Morgan Wallen. Pretty strong track. Really dug this song. I know this was Post Malone's first country track that he wanted to put out because I guess he celebrated a 30th birthday or something recently. But overall, great track. I really like how well produced it was. And Morgan Wallen sounded pretty good with his singing. And this track was something I could really come back to a lot. So, number 10 was Post Malone with I Had Some Help. I really listened to this track most of this month. And it was something I kept repeating, because it was catchy with the beat. Number 9 is Bad Wolves with Hungry for Life featuring Chris Daughtry. Now we're in the top 10, lower top 10 spots in a way. But basically, I think Daniel's vocals were pretty outstanding in this track. And DL, I meant to say. But Chris Daughtry sounded really good in this track. I like the original song too. It's still pretty good. But even with the feature artist with Chris Daughtry, it's still strong. One of my favorite songs of this month. And was worthy to be in the top 10 for sure. So at number 9 is Bad Wolves with Hungry for Life featuring Chris Daughtry. Number 8 is A Day to Remember with Feedback. Didn't think it'd be in my top 10, but it was worthy. It was still a pretty strong track. I mean, granted, there were some moments where it was slightly cringy, but overall, it still kicked ass. It's A Day to Remember. What are you gonna expect from them? They usually drop bangers. Sometimes they have misses, with the You're Welcome album being a total misfire of a record. Like, I listened to it maybe a few weeks ago, You're Welcome in whole, and I will say I wasn't that pleased with the record. I was highly disappointed. Sorry for this thing. But yeah, I was highly disappointed with the record. But the only track I liked was Bad Friend track. That one was my favorite. But overall, still a strong track from Day to Remember. Good comeback track. I think Miracle was better, but still strong track for this track Feedback. It was pretty short and simple, but at least they made it entertaining. Number 7 is Megan Thee Stallion with Boa. This track she did have some sexualized lyrics in this track, but I did like what she was going for with this track, making it a video game reference music video and all that stuff, and basically kicking the players' asses and killing them too, like killing them off in the most gory way possible. But overall, still a strong track. Definitely something I came back to some of the time, but still pretty good. Number 7 is Megan Thee Stallion with Boa. Number 6 is As I Lay Dying with Burden. Pretty strong track. I think Tim's screaming vocals have been pretty good. I mean, there were some allegations being brought up about him that I presume was true, and he went to prison for it. Was setting up his ex-wife's murder, estranged wife's murder, and it was pretty messed up what happened in that regard. But I don't try to look at it as that, because they still kick ass, this band. But overall, that was pretty wrong of him to do that. But looking past that, if you look past that with this band, you'll come to enjoy them. If not, then it's hit or miss. I understand that there's going to be some people that will not follow this band because of that regard, and that's totally understandable, but it's just how you look at it and what you think of it in your own opinion. But still, great track from them, and it was at my number 6. Number 5 is POD with Breaking. This was one of the regular songs from their new record, Veritas, is how you pronounce it, I believe. But overall, it was probably the best track on it. So was Lay Me Down, Rue's song, but I only included this one because I really enjoyed how well it was done with Sonny's vocals and his screaming vocals sounding pretty good. So definitely worthy in the top 5 spot. Number 4 is Wage War with Tombstone. Great track. I really enjoyed this track overall. And honestly, Cody's, well, not Cody, but the other guy singing in it, he sounded really good screaming in this track, and I was very impressed with this song. One of my favorite songs of the month so far. So at number 4 was Wage War with Tombstone. I like the part where he says, "You tell him I'm coming and hell's coming with me," and then it goes into a little breakdown at the end of the track. It sounds very well executed. So 5 out of 5. Number 3 is Starset with Brave New World. Great track for how it sounds. I really enjoyed this song overall, and this was very well mixed. Dustin Bates' screaming vocals were quite outstanding in this track, and overall the execution was pretty amazing. And there were some staticky noises with the electronic work close to the end of the track, or middle of the track, I meant to say. But overall, it still sounds pretty good, and it's a worthy track to be in the top 5. So at number 3 is Starset with Brave New World. Songs of the month so far. Number 2, we're getting down to the last 2, so hopefully you will enjoy my last 2 picks for the best songs of this, and then I'll get to the worst, and then that's going to be it for the video. So basically, Hardy Psycho made it at number 2. One of the best tracks of May 2024. I know he released a new one, Jim Bob, just today, but I will probably put that on the list for June. Basically, for the start of June. Going into the end of the month for June, and put it on that list for best and worst songs of June 2024. But overall, Hardy did really good with this track. I really was amazed with this song. And this was my most highly anticipated song for May of 2024. And I was really impressed with Hardy in this track. He mixed country with rock, and it sounded really good. And it was fairly well executed, this track. One of the best tracks of May 2024. So, it was contender for one of the best tracks. But I think we know who the number 1 spot's going to go to, which you're going to find out right now. So at number 1, drum roll please, Bring Me the Horizon with Utopia. This was one of my favorite tracks of May 2024. Personal favorite for sure. And something to easily remember. And they surprised bomb dropped us with Posthuman Next Gen last Friday, which was May 24th. One of the best records I've listened to so far. Not one of the best, but it's still pretty strong. But overall, I think Bring Me the Horizon outdid themselves with this track. They made it fairly well mixed, pretty well mixed, and it was flawless. A flawless track, something to remember, go through life and all that. But overall, one of their best tracks on the record, and had to be number 1, of course. I know Hardy was about to be number 1, but this one kind of beat it, unfortunately. Hardy came close, but this one beat it. He came very close, too, and I was really rooting for that track to be best song of May 2024, but I found this one to be one of my favorites. So now getting to the worst songs of May 2024. Hopefully you enjoyed my best songs section of May 2024. So now we only have 2 tracks to mention, and then that's going to be it for the video. So number 2 is Imagine Dragons with Nice to Meet You. This track was crap. I didn't really like this song. I don't know, it's just, it tried something, but it didn't execute very well. I mean, some people will say it's decent, but no. This I can't stand. This is another flop from Imagine Dragons, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion overall. So you can see what you think of it for yourself, but overall, nope. And number 1 is Falling in Reverse with Ronald. I know People say this is one of their best tracks. I will kind of give you a little history lesson on this man. Ronnie Radke is a piece of shit. And the reason why I say piece of shit is because he's made so many fucked up choices in his musical career that have defined him as a person. He's thrown a mic stand at a fan. I mean, yeah, granted he apologized, but still, doing it in that matter, he threw a couple mic stands from what I saw in the video. He was involved in a murder, did go to jail for it, and then when he got out of prison, he just turned into a shitty ass person. So, after that, with all the stuff I was seeing about him, with the homophobia, and just making fun of same-sex people, and all that, it's just like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? Like, get help, for real. Like, you say you got so much help, and then you keep shitting on other people that want to talk badly about you. Let them. Like, does it really matter what we think about you? Like, some of us that know you're a piece of shit, which is the fucking truth, but hey, that's my opinion and what I think. You don't have to take my truth and what I believe to heart. I'm just pointing it out for some people to listen. If you don't want to listen to it, that's fine. Your choice. You always have a choice to follow which band you want to follow. I mean, granted, Tech Nine's vocals and rapping vocals were pretty good, and overall, Alex Terrible's screaming potential was pretty good, but overall, this track was a big flop because of the lyrics. The lyrics did it from Ronnie's side of the track. It was just childish. I heard some of the lyrics, I was like, dude, you think you're bad shit, but you're really not. You're just proving yourself out to be the villain in this track, which you kind of are. So you're claiming that you've grown up, that you've matured. You're 40 fucking years old, and you're still a fucking man-child. So put on your big boy panties and be responsible for how you treat people, too. Take accountability for how you treat people. So, yeah, that's the old saying, treat others the way they want to be treated. We'll do that if you stop talking shit about people. So, it's best to ignore the man because apparently he's going to keep talking shit. But overall, this was one of the worst tracks of this month, and not really something to come back to at all. So, number 1 was Falling in Reverse with Ronald, and that is going to be it for this best and worst songs of 2024 video. I mean, I could have gone into more explanation about how this man is terrible, but I think you kind of get where I'm coming from on my side and aspect of things with how I feel about Ronnie Radke. I don't like the man. I am not very excited for the new Popular Monster record coming July 26th of this year. I'll listen to it, but I know it's going to be shit. Because most of the singles I've heard are pretty crappy. So, overall, judge for yourself what you think of this man. I won't separate the art from the artist with this guy. I just can't. I tried, and no, I just see this man's lyricism, and it just baffles me with how bad it is. So with that being said, hopefully you enjoyed this best and worst songs of May 2024 video, and I'll definitely see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.